You don't need another strategy. Here's what you actually need to figure out why you can't implement the things that you already know. I'm Dr. Brooklyn Storme, former psychologist, now business coach, and I help women just like us to build profitable private practices, usually in under 12 months. Being neurodivergent means I see the patterns that other coaches miss, but it also means I'm a truth teller, so I'm not interested in giving you any business advice that sounds good or might be trending, but doesn't actually work for us. Welcome to the Practice Momentum podcast, where we're going to get your private practice sorted out. Thanks so much for being here, and let's get on with the next episode. If you've been having business coaching and you haven't been getting results, this is the episode for you. It doesn't matter if it was with me or if it's with somebody else, because I've gone and looked at success patterns for Practice Momentum, and there are definitely some trends emerging. So as people are beginning to finish the program now, the 12 months is coming up for some people. And because I've got all of the data there, I can start to pull out the patterns and see what's working, see what the opportunities are, all of those kinds of things. And I thought it might be really helpful to share it with you, whether you're in Practice Momentum or not. Maybe you're working with another coach. I think this is going to be so helpful. So welcome back. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the podcast. I'll try not to keep it too long. I am recording it on a Sunday, and the reason for that is because, I know I normally do them on a Saturday, but yesterday I just got totally waylaid in my quest for the new property, and I ended up making Pinterest boards of furnishings and furniture, but also kitchens. Turns out I'm very interested in a scullery, and it turns out that I'm very interested in country cottage. I don't know, I wasn't expecting that. I do really enjoy floorboards and wooden benches and lots of natural light and big windows and skylights and high ceilings and all those kinds of things. And I just went down a rabbit hole, guys, and I totally lost time. So anyway, we're here now. You're going to hear me flip over pages because this morning I did take time to write a few notes down, which I very rarely do. But just because I had the data there, so I wanted to make sure that I was across it for you. And also, this isn't all of it. This is just some. Anyway, hopefully it's going to help. So I was speaking with somebody during the week, and she was interested in getting help with her practice. And she said to me, "Oh, do you guarantee results?" And she was so funny. And I just laughed. We're both having a bit of a giggle. And I said to her, "No, of course I don't." And she's like, "No?" And I said, "No." I said, "I can't guarantee results." I said, I can't guarantee them. I don't guarantee them, and I absolutely won't guarantee them. And the reason why is because it's just not possible. It would be like if a counsellor or a psychology or a social work client said to you, "Can you guarantee I'm going to get a result?" Of course you can't. I mean, all you can really do is make sure that you show up and you give the things, but it's up to the client to go away and implement. If you give them a relaxation strategy and they don't use it, they come back to you the next week and say, "Nothing's changed, everything's the same." And you say to them, "Well, did you use a strategy?" And they say, "No," that's not on you. And two, likewise, it's people just kind of like, maybe they might use the strategy for a little while, or maybe they don't use all 5 steps. Maybe they stop after step 2. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can't control that. So I was explaining that to her. Anyway, so it kind of got me onto this because I'd actually already been putting together the inaugural report for the Practice Momentum program on exactly this, the success metrics. And so it's a report that shows what it's looking at the people who got most results. Well, most people got great results. There were, of course, outliers. I'm going to tell you about the normal distribution curve again. Don't worry, I won't. You know it by now. But that hill, right? So the peak of the hill and either side of that, most people got results. Great. Most people got awesome results around the average. Some were like high average, some were low average, but there were average results for sure. But then there were also outliers, meaning there were, some people who maybe didn't get fantastic results, but then there were people who just like smashed it, crushed it, blew it out of the water. So I wanted to have a look and pull all of that information together and put it in a document so that existing clients and anybody new coming into the program can, I guess, understand what the qualities and characteristics and attributes and behaviors were, as evidenced by the KPIs that they all track, but also through my own coaching interactions with them, to see how they can get the most out of the program. So it's a helpful document, it's educational, and hopefully some of them will get inspired, because they might be thinking, because this is the thing, right? When you do private business coaching, I'm only ever having the conversations with one person at a time. But with Momentum, most, probably like 95% of the women are also inside a community, right? And not everybody is, but most of them are inside a community. And there are definitely people inside that community that just like to know that it's there and be part of it and read the things, but they don't necessarily like engage. It's all fine. But they don't know what I know about all of them, because they don't have access to it all. I know where each one of them is at any given time because I do have access. So they don't really have anything to compare their progress to, or to have as a benchmark, see how they're going. And I thought that if I put this together, it might help some of them say, oh, okay, great, I'm on the right track, doing everything I need to be doing. And help others say, oh, okay, so the ones who are getting like these really exciting results over here, they're doing A, B, and C. I haven't been. Okay, fine, I can start doing A, B, and C now. I know that's what they were doing. So anyway, that's where this all came from. So, success patterns. I'm just quickly reading my notes here. Yeah. One of the things that I notice, these are in no particular order, okay? These are just sort of me remembering what I put in my report this morning before I jumped on here. One of the things that they did was they maintained progress through maintaining their participation over the 12 months. So I guess like many things, if you've ever had a program and it went for 12 months, maybe you were like, oh, very excited at the start of it, and then over time it kind of faded, right? Well, the people who maintained their engagement, their activity, they were in the library, they were using the resources, they were booking calls with me, they were watching replays of things if they weren't able to attend them live. Like those people tended to make consistent progress over 12 months, and it accumulated and compounded versus the people who didn't, right? So at the start, sometimes people will get very excited and they're going to book calls and they'll start doing the things, and then it fades because other things take priority. Life gets in the way, work gets in the way, clients get in the way, whatever, and that happens. So by them committing to, I guess, showing up for themselves regularly, they got better results in terms of return on investment than people who were using it ad hoc or stopped using it. Hit the pause button or something like that, stopped using it. So that was one thing. And something else is they tended to follow a plan. So when people first start working in Practice Momentum, or even Ascend now, which I'll talk to you about later today if I've got time, but they begin with a comprehensive business assessment, and we do lots of things in that assessment, and they end up leaving with an outline, overview, mini plan, comprehensive plan, whatever is going to work for them. And that comes out of our conversation. So some of them really love a quite detailed plan, and so they get one. Other people get very overwhelmed very easily, and they just say, give me a 30-day checklist and I will just work through these things that you think I should be doing, and I'll just tick them off as I go. So, and I've probably got, I don't know, 5-ish, give or take, different types of business plan templates in the library that they can all go and, pick what's going to work for them. Plus, I also created for them a GPT trained on the Practice Momentum framework that they can go and use. So if they ever feel lost or like they don't know what they're meant to be doing or something like that, they can quickly go in and whip themselves up a plan for a day, a week, a month, a quarter, whatever. So there's options there. And then there are others who just say, can you put it in a Google Doc as a tick list? And I do that. But the point is that they all get one. And the people that got the most consistent results and the trajectory of building results, meaning they don't, some come in because they need clients, some come in because they want to make more money, but others don't need clients and they don't need money. They might be saying, I want to move from a one-to-one to a one-to-many model, and I'm not sure how to do that. So for them, like one of my clients, she earns 7 figures, right? She doesn't need money. She doesn't need clients. It's the opposite for her. She's like, how do I keep this money coming with less clients, Brooklyn? So for her, we do other things, right? But the point is that when they follow their plan, for the most part, understanding that plans are really, I think, the good intentions. I think they're like, ideally, this is where we want to be by this date. This is what we want to be celebrating and clinking glasses to, but also understanding that there does need to be flexibility because things don't happen linearly, do they? No. If it's my life, for example, it probably looks like a great big scribble pattern. But the point is we eventually get there in the end, okay? So the ones who got the best results in terms of, if they had a workshop, for example, and they had set a goal that they wanted to sell 100 seats for the workshop, they might have sold, 200 or something. The reason that it worked for them was because they followed their plan. There were people who had plans but didn't follow them. They might have started to follow them, but then either said, this feels hard, this feels boring, this isn't what I expected. I thought I was going to be in Canva making pretty things. I just want to see clients. Why are you forcing me to track my KPIs? I don't want to do a business plan, Brooklyn. I just need a client. So there was some of that. And yeah, sometimes they would get this plan and they might start working with it, but then go on a side quest because there was something else that just felt better or easier, or it was more fun, or it captured their attention, or, like all of those kinds of things. And so they would just like go off away from the plan. And those people took longer to get the same result as the people who didn't. So that was a success pattern right there, following the plan, making modifications and adjustments as or if needed along the way. But going off plan, especially in the first 2 quarters, really slowed people down a lot. Okay. By following that simple plan as well, the people who did found that they were doing less. And it feels counterintuitive, right? And I get it. It's not the case for everybody, but for many of the women that I've worked with, not just in Momentum, but over nearly 10 years of coaching therapists in private practice, counsellors, psychologists, and social workers, usually before they come to me, they've been doing so many things because they didn't really know what they were meant to be doing. And they had a lot of balls that they were juggling. And then when they come and they work with me and we make a plan, we try and keep it simple. It can feel counterintuitive because their body and their nervous system perhaps have been programmed to feel like if I'm not doing a million things, And if I'm not working long hours, or if I don't feel pressure, or if I don't feel anxiety, if I don't feel like those kinds of things, then I won't get the result. For example, right? This is what it can feel like. So then when I say, oh no, here's a simple way, and I only want you to do these 3 things in the next, 90 days, that doesn't sit very well for some people because they panic. They feel like they need to be doing so much more. And so what will happen is they'll look at the list of 3 things or 5 things or 9 things or whatever it is that's on their list, because everybody gets a different business plan. But they might look at that and in their mind, they might think, oh, this isn't enough. This is enough. I will never, I really need money. I really need registrations. I really need enrollments and signups. I really need clients. This isn't enough. She hasn't given me enough. And so they add things in. And that can be a problem because when they add things in, they're now off plan. And then those things that they're adding in keep them busy but don't actually shift the needle. So it kind of keeps them regulated in a way, even though they're stressed and anxious, right? It's like better the devil you know, than dealing with the counterintuitive discomfort that comes from, oh, hang on, I don't need to do these things. The pattern for the people who got the results that were like the biggest and the quickest and, had the most impact, they had to find a way of saying, you mean I get to do a lot less to get the thing that I want? I can stop doing some of these things. So for some of them, they needed extra support from me around how do we calm the nervous system down, regulate you so that you can just focus on these things here. And other people were relieved and they said, oh my gosh, I was, marketing is a big one, right? Marketing on all of the platforms, but not understanding how to market because they never learned, right? So they didn't have a marketing plan. There was no marketing strategy. They didn't understand about putting together marketing content, but they were actively putting stuff on lots of different platforms every day. And so when they learned, for example, that they could put the brakes on that, for many of them, that was a relief. And understanding and knowing, I need you to do this, this, and this. These are the things here. If we get these right, these are the things that for your practice will start shifting the needle the quickest. They felt relief. So again, it's different for everybody, but that's what happened for the successful people. And then the people who they still reached success, but it wasn't, I guess, what it could have been had they followed the plan. The other thing is life happens, right? Absolutely, life happens. I mean, in the last 12 months, there were psychologists working with me in and outside of Practice Momentum that a bunch of them, they had group practices, and I call it a mutiny. It was they went and they were trying to get the subcontractors to turn up to the team meetings and the PD days on the same days as the employed people, and it wasn't working, and there was conflict, and then there was team conflict because the subbies were getting, in inverted commas, paid more than the employees. And so there were all these problems. And then with some of the group practices, they had a mass exodus, and, they just rocked up to work one day and opened their inbox to a cascade of resignations, totally out of the blue to them. That happened it was common. It happened maybe in the last 12 months, probably about 7 psychologists in private practice, Queensland, New South Wales and Victoria. So yeah, that happened. There were other people who got sick or their partners got sick. Some of them got separated. Some got divorced. Some relocated. Some became the sole income for their families, right? There was all of this stuff going on. Now, some of that's huge. It's all valid. And other people had health conditions, mental health conditions like maybe depression or ADHD diagnoses, or like all of the things. The success pattern, though, that came through in the data and through my coaching conversations that I had, was that there was definitely a trend that happened around the people who got better results. They were the ones who said, my husband's just left, or just found out he's having an affair, and, it's all hit the fan over here, and I really don't think that I can go ahead and do the thing that we'd planned. What do I do? So they will come and update the plan, basically. How do I keep this going? Or how do I still, sorry, I just have to, my screensaver came on. How do I deal with this thing? Like, I've got the children home from school because, we've all got COVID in the house or something like that. How do I deal with this thing and still, provide a service to the clients, or still receive money from the business even when I can't be there as often, or I just can't be there now? So it was by making plans and adjusting the plans that those ones were able to still keep the business going, and they had a business to return to when they came back. They were able to still get paid even though they weren't showing up. They were able to still find ways of delivering services to clients even though they couldn't show up. So that was all good, right? So for them, it was saying, okay, I still want the business to keep going. How do I do it without the energetic capacity, the mental bandwidth, all of those kinds of things? Or even like Brooklyn, I've just been diagnosed with ADHD and I'm starting on a new medication, and it's like knocking me for six over here. What do I do? Like, how do I navigate this at the moment? So it wasn't, they got the better results versus people who just said, threw their hands up in the air and just said, I'm out, I can't, or just disappearing. That resulted in delays for revenue or client work, all of those kinds of things. And it was difficult for them to get back into the swing of things because they stopped all of their systems. Things hadn't been working for them in the background. So it was like when they came back, it felt to them like they were starting from scratch again. The people that modified their plans had systems installed that kept working in the background. So they had space to take a week, to take a month. They had the space. So making sure that they had the systems in place before they took the time provided them with the safety emotionally, financially, energetically that they needed, and allowed them the freedom to be able to go and deal with life, whether that was lawyers, whether it was tax departments, whether it was psychiatrists, all of the things. That was really, really important. And when they returned, because things had still been going, they didn't have the same tapering back in time that the ones who didn't use those systems in their absence had. Okay, another success pattern was that, again, and I'm probably like, I'm a big one for this, people who were most successful, of course, they still got excited about things that weren't part of their game plan, right? I'm a big one for that. I get excited by so much stuff, and you hear me talk about it all the time. It's AI at the moment. But the people who were successful, they did get excited about things. But before they did things, they would ask how. So even if it was something that was on their plan, if it was on their plan, usually in the initial business assessment, we would discuss in detail the priorities. This is the first thing to do. This is the second. This is the third. There are resources in the library to support you, including video trainings, audios, workbooks, worksheets, templates, swipe files done for you, done with you. Like, everything's there. You know how to log in. You know how to access that. It's all there. You can share it with me. And I recommend that you do initially, especially if it's something new for you that you haven't tried before. So yeah, there was always that. But sometimes people would just get very excited about something that was on their plan, or maybe it was something that just wasn't on their plan, but it took them away from the plan for a moment. They get very excited and they're just like, do it. Now, what happened for the people who saw more success was they would get excited about something on their plan, and then they would say, okay, I've done, the first two things. I'm up to the third thing, super excited. What's my first step? What do I need to do? And I would usually say, awesome. What do you already know about this? And so we would talk through, and I'll be checking if they knew all of the things, and then I would redirect them over to the library. I say there's information in the library. There's a blueprint with all clickable links to Google Docs that you can just edit, make them sound your own. There's this, there's that, there's this, there's that. So those people who asked before they did things got better results more quickly than people who got excited about the thing and then just like went and did the thing. For example, a really, really common one is making a freebie. There are people who will say, oh, they will send me a little message, or they'll reach out and they'll say, oh, it was such a great week last week. I published a freebie. And I think to myself, oh, okay, great. I'm so happy for them. I'm so happy for them. And then I'll go and I'll have a look, because I'll say, oh, do you want to go and have a look at my website? I say, yeah. And I'll go and have a look. And then I go to download it, and I can see, oh no, hang on. She doesn't have this. She doesn't have that. This is missing. And then we've got to try and rein it in, call it back, and say, okay, the freebie, okay, fine, great, but we need to also have this and this and this and this and this, and you can get all of that information over there, and I'll help you with it, and da. And so that can be defeating. It can, because if you got really excited because you made your free thing and you put it out into the world and you shared it everywhere, and then your business coach is saying, well, hang on, my lovely, where's the landing page? Where's the email sequence? How does this freebie fit with the thing that you're trying to promote or sell at the moment? What's the intention with this freebie? Or even making the freebie, they might have made this freebie because it was on their heart and soul to do it. But because I'm on the outside looking in and I've got the business knowledge, I can see this probably would have a better chance of getting downloaded if we changed the presentation, or it had a different title, or, stuff like that. So it can be hard for people. Absolutely. And then they kind of maybe feel like they don't want to go and do all the bits that haven't been done yet. But people who are saying, oh, I'm up to the next thing and I'm going to do a freebie, I could have a conversation with them and say, okay, great. What do you know about freebies? Because I want to make sure, obviously, that they're going to get a really, really good result. So I have to make sure, do you know what to think about when you're going to make one? Do you know how to create a title for one? Do you know what your audience resonates with and what they don't? Do you understand the steps and the processes? And then I can redirect them to resources that I've got. And if they have a unique situation, I will make them a resource, right? I usually do it that day or the next day. And then I will send it to them and I will add it into the library. But the ones who learned how to do it and did it got better results faster. And by that, I mean more downloads really quickly. So, for example, people who followed the steps and followed the process might have gone on a learning curve initially, which might have caused a delay. Like it might have taken them 4 weeks to get this freebie out, whereas they thought it was going to be done in an afternoon. They thought they were just going to go and use a template from Canva, rework it a little bit, and then put it on their website or share it to the socials. But when they realized, there's other moving pieces that are attached to this, it might have gone from taking an afternoon or a day perhaps to now it's going to take time. So it caused a bit of a delay. But once they had it up and running, they were then messaging me, the next day, someone booked in, 2 people downloaded, 10 people downloaded. I got my first registration. I got my first 3 signups. Whereas the people who didn't do that, it was months later and it was crickets on their free thing. And they'd moved on to going and doing something else. So that was definitely a success metric. Before they started things, they would check in, say, hey, this is the next thing on my list. What do I need to know before I do it to save me the time? Because there's nothing worse. I'm sure there are worse things, but I think what a pain to put something out that you really love and that you're very, very proud of, only to find out it's missing a lot of things. I mean, it's kind of like, baking a cake and then realizing that you didn't use egg, milk, sugar, flour. You've got no way to sell it. Nobody knows that you even made a cake. Do you know what I mean? All of the things, the moving parts. It would take time. So they go from this initial, I've got this great idea for a freebie, to, okay, fine, sure, it's going to take me time. So it would slow them down initially, but then it would speed things up, and then it became part of their client attraction system that they could pretty much leave on autopilot. And then over following months, it was bringing in consistent inquiries. So yeah, definitely worth the delay for them. And that was reflected in their KPIs. The next thing was expectations of results. People who were seeing themselves as business owners and understanding things take time, and that there's no magic pills, quick fixes and stuff like that. They really did understand and get it. And for them, they found it a little bit easier in terms of they weren't as stressed, they weren't as pressured, they weren't as anxious as people who were putting a lot of pressure on themselves to do something today and get a result within a couple of days. And this is really, really important. The people who were getting the better results also knew that things take time, and they listen and they understand when I share with them little statements around things happen in 90-day cycles in business, right? That's why we've got quarters. It's why we do our, PAYG, our BAS, our GSTs happen in quarters, right? Everything happens in quarters in business. And it's the same whether you're making a freebie or you're trying to get clients off a brand new website or a recently heavily updated website. It all takes time. And so one of the success patterns was the people who understood things were going to take time, because they didn't have the expectation of why it's not working, there should be a result right away. It meant that they were able to do what needed to be done, set it aside when it was, and then move on to the next thing. And so for them, they felt more on top of things. They felt like there was a plan. They felt like they knew what they were doing. And there was like general, better focus, even for clients who are neurodivergent. There was a better sense of this is where I'm going, where I'm heading, what I'm doing, versus the people who didn't get the amazing results. They would do something like maybe publish a website and then a week later be saying to me, it didn't work, it's not working. Or I might share with them a marketing plan and, talk them through creating content for that, etc., etc., and they would start to follow it. And then a week later say, it's not working, so I'm not doing that anymore. I'm now going to do this other thing over here. So they would stop, start, because they weren't getting fast enough results compared to like what they expected. And that's very, very important, because it can keep people in a state of feeling hurried, feeling busy, and equating being busy with, I'm working so hard, I should be seeing the result. They don't understand that there's no evidence at all to show that the amount of effort you use has anything to do with getting a result. In fact, the data shows the opposite. The data says that results have low to no correlation with effort. But this is what's happening. They're using their employee mindset. And I did too in the beginning. And it happens because when you work for somebody else, it's very, very different. You don't have the insights and the access to higher level information around the business plan, maybe, the business strategies, all those kinds of things. Your role is to do one task for that business that ticks it off their business plan for that year, or for their 3-year plan, or for their 5-year plan. So everybody that they hire is hired to do one thing on their plan. That's what you're doing, usually. And so you get told what to do, right? You have to apply to do the task for them. And you get a business description, you get a job description that says, right, we need this task done. You need to be able to use ChatGPT to a high standard. You need to be able to use Google Workspace. You need to be able to use Xander, right? All those kinds of things. And you do, right? And then you get that job, and then you go and you do the job. But you also have monitoring and check-ins. And you might have them monthly, or you might have them quarterly. And on top of that, you have performance reviews. So this is what happens in Momentum with our quarterly KPI check-ins. That's your opportunity to have eyes on your business and get the pivot if it's needed and things like that. But when we're working for somebody else, you're directed. You're doing what you're told. You can't deviate. You're not allowed to deviate without permission, right? You must stay in your lane. And you learn that if you want extra money because it's little Johnny's school camp coming up in 2 months, and you just got the email from the school saying that little Johnny's camp is going to be $1,200 and you don't have it, you got to figure out a way of getting it. So you're going to go to your boss and you're going to say, I need overtime. And what that usually looks like is staying back late, or working on weekends, working on public holidays, or taking on extra duties. So it's working harder, putting in more effort. And this is the programming that happens. But that same programming doesn't work when you're the business owner. When you start a business, when you start your private practice, it's not about that anymore. You need to start being a business owner and having a top-down approach to the business. I'm not saying you need to go and hire people to do your stuff. Of course you can. When you're ready and you want to, if that's important to you, you can. You can get a remote VA, you could get a part-time VA, you could get a part-time social media person, all those kinds of things, absolutely. But in the beginning, you can't run it with the same mindset. So when you're stopping and starting and you're keeping your body busy and you're keeping your brain busy with all of these things, it's very understandable that you would be getting a bit upset if you weren't seeing the results, because your brain is used to getting money, for example, or getting the time in lieu and stuff like that from your experience working for somebody else. your brain hasn't caught up to the fact that, hang on, no, you're the business now, and this ain't how it works anymore. You have to shift the way that you see yourself, okay? The successful people in practice momentum that got like the really amazing, exciting results, they tended to understand that an absence of a result didn't mean it wasn't coming. Whereas people who didn't see it right away thought the strategy failed, they'd quit the strategy, they would start another strategy. What I mean by that is people who were more successful understood, okay, let's just take the example of the freebie. They would say, okay, so I got my freebie out there and I know this is one step in my client's pathway to them being able to find me, see if I'm the right one for them, check me out, spend some time with me, all of the things, do whatever they need to do in order to feel, confident enough, safe enough, like I'm their person, like they could trust me, like they could trust themselves, like they saw themselves as being worthy enough, whatever it was, to take the step I want them to take, whether that was making a booking for a discovery call or signing up for the workshop or joining the course or whatever it was, right? So they would understand that while they might have put the freebie out 2 weeks ago and nobody had booked an appointment yet, they knew that that didn't mean the freebie wasn't working. They could see that it was getting downloaded, and so they knew that there were people circulating in the background. I call these beautiful souls a silent audience, right? You never hear from them. You don't know that they're there, but they're there. And they're going to be the ones that book the appointment. And you've heard me talk about this before too. Like there are people that reach out to me and I'll say, oh, how did you find me? And they'll say, oh, I was listening to your podcast for the last 6 months or the last 3 years. Or they will say, oh, I've been in your world in Facebook for, a couple of years, or, my professor recommended you, to our class and things like that. So people will find you in different ways, but I know that I've got dependable pathways, and that just because somebody downloaded my freebie 2 weeks ago, I know too that there'll be some people who zip through the pathway and they might go and, just say, do you know what? This free thing that she just shared with us was so good. I absolutely need to talk with her and see if she can help me. Or they might just like to, if they're brand new, they don't know me from Adam, and they see that I've got maybe a podcast or the Facebook group, they're going to listen to the podcast and get to know me, or they're going to hang out in the Facebook group. They might never engage. It doesn't mean anything to my business if they engage or not, because engagement is not a predictor of a client booking with you. There's no evidence that says the more somebody engages, the more likely they are to book. There's data that says the opposite. There's data that says your biggest engagers, the ones who will always comment and be like your super fans and things like that, rarely will pay you money to work with you. There is data for that. So understanding that the absence of the physical booking in the diary, or the absence of the physical money in the bank account, the absence of that result, is not proof that what they're doing isn't working. Okay? So that was huge. And that happened for lots of people. And that's what I call the hockey stick. And for me, the hockey stick is like this. Somebody might say, I'm just going to say stick with the freebie example again, but it could be you going to a one-to-many program and making something, or it could be you're, introducing supervision for the first time or something like that. It doesn't matter. But, maybe they're making a freebie and they put it together and they get some ideas on how it could be better. Like, oh, did you see this? Or, hey, did you know if you use this formula to make your title, it will really resonate. And so they get this dopamine hit, right? They've learnt something. They feel like so excited, so confident. It's like, oh, wow, I can do this, and they're very, very excited, very, very proud of it, as they should be. But they will then maybe run off and share it with the world before I guess realizing that there were other things to do, right? Maybe they didn't look at the resource that was recommended, or maybe they just did step 1 of the resource. They felt so great, so confident, so proud, and they couldn't wait to get it out there. But they didn't look at steps 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So those other steps haven't been done. And so what happens is it goes out, but then they're like, oh, yeah, I don't have a way of getting the email addresses. So now it's like we're like feeling a bit flat, like, oh no, I've messed up. She's right. I've got no idea how many people have been downloading this now because I didn't have an opt-in page. Yep. Now I've got to learn how to do an opt-in page. And then, and then from the opt-in page, then I'm like, okay, and now we need to like write the email. So you got an email sequence. It's like, oh, something else I've got to do, or something else I need to learn, or something like this, right? And so then it's like feeling defeated again. And this can cause some people to say, it's too hard, it's too much, I shouldn't have to do it, nobody else is doing it, I don't understand why. Or they'll say, I'm overwhelmed, I can't do it, I need to walk away, I'll come back to it later on. But in the meantime, I'm going to go and start this other thing. And so they'll leave a freebie out there that's getting downloaded, but not bringing them a client and not making them any money. And what's happened is they've essentially given up on the free thing, right? They've given up. And so that's the bottom of the hockey stick now. At the bottom of that little curve in the hockey stick, that's where they are, right at that bottom of the bowl there. They're like, I'm out, too hard, too overwhelming, I can't do this on top of everything else. I've got family, I've got kids, I've got a mother I'm caring for, I just need clients anyway, I don't understand why I've got to do, and all of this will come up for some people. And then they'll go and start something else. So they'll go and maybe have a look in the library and they'll find something else and they'll get excited and they'll go and do step 1 or step 2 and they'll get very excited about it and celebrating. It feels so good. But hey ho, guess what? Didn't do steps 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And now we're going back down the hockey stick and now we're feeling, oh no, it's too hard. I didn't realize it was so involved. This isn't what my other coach told me. My supervisor said this, all of that comes up. It's a defense mechanism because, of course, you want to stay calm and you want to hang on to the good feeling, right? And then they say, I'm overwhelmed. It's too much. I'm out. And they will stop the thing, hit pause, and go and start something else. They start something else, get the dopamine rush, and do you see? They loop, okay? So they're often having these moments of celebration of doing something that they didn't think they could do, that feels really good, really proud of it, and then crashing, later, and then boom, looping again. For these people, we need a pattern interrupt, a serious pattern interrupt, because nothing is ever going to change. They're going to end up with a lot of projects that they've started but not finished. And when we add that into their identity as employees or their identity as therapists, they're now feeling also very frustrated because those identities are telling them hard work equals you should be getting results. And because they're working really hard, and they can say to their husband, for example, oh, I made the free thing over here and updated my message over there and I did this over there and nothing I'm doing is working. And then they get affirmed by that person because maybe they didn't tell that other person the reason why it's not working. It's because they didn't do steps 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That other person will then affirm them and say, yeah, you're right. You should be seeing results now. Yeah, maybe this isn't working. So we want to try and break patterns. But it's not just behavior. It really comes back to how you see yourself as the owner of a business, in addition to being a practitioner. You have to show up in two completely different ways, right? The people who tended to reach results more quickly and get, better, in inverted commas, results in terms of more downloads, more money, more enrollments, registrations, those kinds of things. When I say better, higher, more, you know what I mean? They were the ones who also went on the hockey stick. But when they got down to the bowl of it, and they were like, oh my gosh, she's telling me now there's like not only step 2, there's these other 7 steps over here. It still feels like a lot. It does. The difference was for these people, they knuckled down and they said, well, do you know what? I get it now. I have tried doing this, making a free thing before, and it never worked for me. But now I see why. I didn't know. I had to go and do all of these other things. And that's really annoying because I love my freebie. Now I'm going to have to take it down because there's no point having it up if I am not catching the emails or catching the payments or whatever. So they will deal with the emotion that comes up and the frustration that comes up. But then they just roll up their sleeves and they're like, okay, then show me step 2. What do I need to do? And they will start moving through the steps. And as they move through the steps, something shifts. What happens is they go on the learning curve. And the learning curve, of course, has its own frustrations. Maybe if you're not great with tech, or maybe if the tech isn't being great to you. Sometimes that happens, right? Like I was talking with some ladies in Momentum when I did the AI training with them during the week. We're talking about hallucinations, right? How the AI will hallucinate sometimes. Doesn't matter how well you prompt, it's going to hallucinate. So sometimes the tech's not playing nicely with you. So they would still weather that, but they would start to see results in so far as, oh, I got that thing done. I've got the landing page done. I've made the image. I've got the mock-up. I've figured out how to write the emails. I'm stitching it all together now. Oh, it'll make sense. And so what's happening is they're now coming up the hockey stick and they're gaining skills as a result of learning. Those skills can never be taken away from them. So even when they're not working with me anymore, they'll have those skills forever. Because they're learning skills, they become competent. And that competency is now bringing feelings of confidence. And then some of them are saying to the others, oh, I can help you with this. Oh, did you do this bit over here? Did you do that bit over there? And I see them talking with each other, helping each other out. And that's the difference. That's the difference. They don't feel like they need to pause. They don't feel like they need to, think about it and sit with it for a period of time or anything like that. They're just like, well, this is why I'm here. I now understand why what I was doing in the past wasn't working. Okay, fine. I'm going to have to learn the thing. It's not going to be as quick as I'd hoped. Okay. And as they're learning, because it's all brand new, usually, they don't have anything to connect it to make it easier to learn. So it can be like hard, but they stay with it. And it's one thing, new skill, new competence, new confidence. Another skill, new competence, more confidence. And it goes. And then when they come to do a follow-up business plan or something like that, and there's something that's on it that they don't know, or they will say, oh, before I do this, I will check in because, yeah, there's probably a lot that I don't know. That's the growth, right? And they're the ones that will come and ask the questions rather than just rushing off and doing things and then having to redo them and redo them 10 times over. They learn how to do them first. It works. That's the hockey stick. The people that got like some of the best results were really good at navigating a hockey stick. So if you're listening to this and you can relate to the loop, you're not alone. I was a looper as well. But I see now, even for myself, I need to push through the difficult bits. The difficult bits are the learning, right? And once you've done that, boom, the confidence comes. So yeah, one of the other success patterns that was really, 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 really clear is I do request, ask for KPIs regularly, every single quarter. There were people who would send them to me every month and say, can you cast your eyes over this? How's it looking? How am I going? What are the insights here? What can you teach me about interpreting my numbers? Very interested in the numbers because they were learning how to make business decisions from them. Found it super duper helpful. I found it super duper helpful as well because I'm not as emotionally invested in their businesses as they are, right? I'm emotionally invested in them getting the results. So I have a level of objectivity when it comes to their business, including the numbers that they don't. And because of the autism and the ADHD that I have, I'm really good at pattern matching and spotting the missing pieces and spotting the gaps. And I can let them know real quick, hey, we need to do this, or this. Somebody sent me her KPIs once and I just looked at them and straight away it wasn't adding up. And it turned out, like I said to her, these numbers aren't adding up. And I said, can we just double check you've entered them correctly? She came back to me. She was like, yep, I've entered them correctly. She sent me de-identified evidence of the numbers. So I was able to go in and like double check. But it wasn't right. They just weren't adding up. And then I saw it was because, she'd deleted the cancellation line and we didn't have the correct numbers because there was no way of tracking the cancellations. So we didn't have clear picture of what was going on with her finances. Somebody else, she sent through KPIs, but she edited her spreadsheet. And instead of, keeping like the general gist of the spreadsheet that I give them, which is a simple structured layout that they can go and edit. Some of them had made huge changes, lost formulas and formatting and things like that. And it did affect things. So it was a simple enough fix. We're able to do that. And then we could start to look at those, make better decisions for the business rather than making intuitive decisions or decisions by gut alone. People who didn't get the same level of success or the same kind of results would avoid tracking their numbers. They would leave it until the 11th hour of the 90 days. Sometimes they wouldn't get them to me at all. Sometimes they would just only give me part of the tracker, not the full tracker. So there'll be all these empty boxes where there should have been numbers. And that was a problem because it meant that we couldn't, it's very difficult if you're saying, oh yeah, well, I'm just focusing on getting, downloads of my freebie at the moment. So yeah, I didn't bother filling out the rest. That's a problem because I need to know, well, of the downloads that you've got, where were they coming from? Where were they coming from? Like what posts were you putting out? Where were you putting them? What day and time were you putting them? I need that information. So I need more than 1 or 2 lines of a whole total tracker. So the people that struggled to do their numbers, for whatever reason, it was different for everybody. Some people, it was mindset. It was feelings of shame and guilt. I don't want to look at my numbers because I'm not seeing any clients yet. So what's the point? There was a little bit of that, or it was, and again, like it's really important because the tracker is set up so that we can track the essential things that every business needs to be doing. And even though you might not have clients, looking at that other data can tell us why and tell us what to do. But when that data doesn't come, it makes it very, very difficult. So yeah, they might not do it because they might have been feeling embarrassment or shame or guilt about the numbers, or they may be running a story along the lines of, I'm not good at numbers, my husband does the numbers, or my accountant takes care of all of that, things like that. So there were definite things there, and they struggled. And what it looked like was not only did we have gaps in the data, but then we started to see gaps in the business. And then these women sometimes would have a higher tendency to be panicking, to be scattered, not know where things were. If I ask them, oh yeah, I can help you with this, it's all right, we're going to sort it out. If you just show me where you did this or how you did that, that'll be a great starting point, and I can do the heavy lifting from there. And then they panic because they can't remember where they put anything. So it'd be very kind of disorganized, maybe, bit scattered, bit lost, feeling the anxiety, feeling the lack of confidence, all of that. I would say to them, okay, have you put this system in place? Have you put that process in place? And they would say that they hadn't, and they would apologize, which, nobody ever needs to apologize to me, but they would apologize and say, I can't, Brooklyn, it's just too much for me right now. I just need to focus on all these other things. But it was the disorganization, the absence of systems that was keeping them in that loop, and it was very, very difficult for them to try and transition out. Some were able to, but some, still struggled. So, yeah. The other thing that I noticed, and again, reflected in conversations, the business coaching conversations with the clients, a very clear pattern around people who were tracking their numbers versus those who weren't. The people who were tracking their numbers, when we had to make a decision about the business, be it big or little, something that was going to cost money, something that wasn't, didn't matter, a new strategy maybe, they were just pretty much matter of fact about it. It was just like, okay, yep, sure, I'll get on to that and I'll come back to you when it's done. Versus if somebody was already scattered and disorganized and all of this, they tended to resist a plan and resist a system or a strategy because it felt like it was adding to their plate. They didn't see that it may mean that, okay, you might have to work on Saturday morning to get this set up, but it will mean you get to go home at 5 o'clock for the rest of your life. It was just too much and they just couldn't. So they continued to struggle a little bit. It was just harder for them. So that was definitely a pattern. The people who did go through that transition phase of, okay, I get it, I'm working 4 days a week now for this group practice over here while I'm building up my own business over here on a Friday. So I'm super busy. They were saying, okay, if you reckon I need to do my marketing system or my booking system or my sustainability system or something, yeah, okay, I can do that on my weekend, or I can do that one night after work. They were finding time to get things done. And as a result, they got systems in place more quickly. And those systems tended to be, for the most part, I don't believe anything is ever entirely passive or entirely automated. I think you always will be going back and checking that things are working, refining, updating, all of that, monitoring. But for the most part, they're able to put systems in place for their businesses that became dependable, reliable pathways for things like inquiries, registrations, bookings, downloads. subscriptions, membership things, all of the things. So that was important. So yeah, and all of the success patterns that I've mentioned here, and these are just a handful, right? And the reason that I'm sharing is so that you can hear in real life, like this is what it looks like. This is what is actually happening behind the scenes for the practices that are doing really, 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 really well, and the ones who are still struggling, right? Yeah, all of the success patterns that I've shared tended to come from a shift in how people saw themselves. Now, when people first start doing business coaching with me, they don't always see themselves as a business owner, right? They see themselves as a experienced, clinical, accredited mental health social worker with 17 years under their belt, maybe offering, workshops and things like that. But they're operating from employee mindset, and they didn't realize that they were operating from employee mindset. And so when they can see, oh, okay, this is employee mindset over here, what's a business mindset? And they hear about that and they learn about that, then they can start to see they can contrast the two. And then they can start to say, okay, how do I do this? How do I learn how to also be the owner of my business? And it's very, very important, because if you're coming into a business thinking hard work is going to get you the client, you're going to set yourself up for a very stressful, scattered, chaotic, anxiety-inducing experience with your practice, perhaps. Likewise, if you're coming in with a therapist mindset, and that can look like, not feeling comfortable doing the business activities, feeling great in sessions with clients, really having positive, engaging conversations with clients getting beautiful outcomes, speaking well of you, getting word of mouth referrals, all those kinds of things. But if you struggle with the business side, like doing your numbers, not having a business plan, not having a marketing plan, not having an understanding of how clients get to you and how you need to provide things at each of those levels, not understanding financial management for your business, all of those things then feel incongruent with how you are showing up. And that's because they are. As practitioners, we're trained to not judge. We're trained to be highly supportive, understanding, compassionate, all of those beautiful things. And there is still a place for those things as a business owner raising her fees, as a business owner charging the cancellation, as a business owner marketing her practice, right? You can be both. You can be an effective, caring, thoughtful, kind practitioner over here that gets results, and a woman with a business that's profitable, that is set up to work with her capacity, energetically, cognitively, mentally, like psychologically, emotionally, like all of the things, and in a way that stays true to her values. And it becomes easier over time to run the business and to make the decisions when you're able to move between both of those hats, and sometimes even integrate those hats. That's the sweet spot, and that's what tends to work. Now, there are some people in Practice Momentum that do have a business mindset already, and they also show up very well as practitioners, right? They don't need all of this, but that's pretty uncommon. In my experience, that's pretty uncommon. Most of us, I say to my clients, new level, new devil, right? Even somebody that I work with at the moment, she's got a practice, we did her, well, I didn't do it, her accountant did her numbers, and she was at 800,000 during the last financial year. And she is another one who wants to go back from, oh, I'm sick of doing the one-to-ones and I've got a group practice. I just want to like shut it down and I just want to go back to it being me. It's too stressful having employees. It's too stressful having the brick and mortar. I just want to like burn it to the ground, but I don't want to lose the revenue. And so when I'm talking to her and I'm saying, okay, let's look at this, and we start playing with different strategies, of course, for her, it's new level, new devil, right? And so her stuff is coming up too. And some of her old employee mindset stuff's coming up. Some of her old therapy mindset stuff is coming up. And so she's needing support around, how do we bring those good business skills and business knowledge and business awareness now into this next chapter of the practice. So it doesn't matter how big or small your business is. It doesn't matter if you're starting out and you haven't made $1 or if you've made $10 million. These are concepts that apply to almost all of us at some point on the journey. And this is a big part of why Practice Momentum spends time supporting people one-to-one, because everybody's at a different stage too of moving through this. But to get back to the start of the episode today, which was about, when she said to me, can you guarantee my results? And I said, no, I can't, I don't, I won't. If another business coach tells you that they're absolutely going to get you a result, I would be very suspicious about that, because as I said, like even with the work you do, you can't guarantee results for anybody. It's just not going to happen. I think that would be, I don't know, I would never do it. But also I don't want to set anybody up for failure. I don't. I want to be honest with people all of the time. And there were people that over the last few weeks, so the last intake for Momentum happened around Christmas time, last week of December. And, there were people there who really, 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 really wanted to join, but I knew that I couldn't help them, right, for all kinds of reasons, but I knew that I couldn't help them. And so I gave them other recommendations and things like that. And a good business coach will do that. And you need to find someone who's going to, I would recommend, you do what you want, but I would always say find someone who's going to call a spade and be totally honest with you, and not, I guess, mislead you about the results that they can get, because they can't. I feel your business coach's responsibility is to have, at a minimum, a lot of experience in what they do. I think, while we can call ourselves coaches without qualifications, it's just a personal thing for me. But when I look for my business coach, right, I want to know that they know what they're doing. So that's important to me. So I want to check that they've got testimonials, or because coaches can, but I want to check they've got good testimonials, or they've got good case studies, or there's ROI evidence, or they've got a coaching qualification under their belt, so they know what they're doing, all those kinds of things, very important. And of course, find somebody who's going to be the right fit for you. I think also when it comes to the responsibility of the business coach, their responsibility is coaching, and when it's in private practice, I think also the mentoring and consulting aspect. So business mentoring, because I know these terms can get confusing. Business coaching is when the business coach helps you arrive at your own plan, your own decisions, draws it from you. The business mentoring is when the business mentor is sharing from their experience. So they're saying, like what I've just shared with you today would be called business mentoring, right? Definitely part of that, because I'm sharing from my experience. I'm saying, hey guys, I've just pulled some data together. Very interesting. It's early days, yeah, only, 12 months into the program. But here's what I'm finding, and in my experience, that's business mentoring. And then business consulting is when you give someone the thing, right? And so that's like in momentum when I can say to my clients, yeah, go and get the freebie blueprint from the library. That's consulting. I've put it all together for them. They don't have to go and find it, figure it out, research it, buy another course. It's all there. I can say, go and get the template from the library, use the script from the library. Do you know, it's business consulting is here's how you do it, here's a strategy, here's what you need. And with business consulting, you don't have to give your clients the things. I do because I want to just make sure that I'm making it as easy as possible for my clients to get the results that they want. And if I already know what works on how to write a landing page or how to make the freebie or the quiz or get the clients or get consistency in revenue and everything, why would I not give them the steps? Like, of course, I'm going to give them the steps. I'm not just going to say, well, you need to get more consistent, because then they're going to go off and start Googling. They're going to get lost, go down rabbit holes. No, and it's going to take them forever. I just feel better personally putting what I know on paper, or in this case, it's usually a Google Doc or a Google Sheet. But I just want to put that together and cut down the length of time that it's going to take them to get the result that they want, because they come into the program wanting something, but if they can get what they want quicker, then they can do more stuff, right? And they can exceed their own expectations. So they're the differences between coaching, mentoring, and consulting. And in Momentum, they get all of those things from me. And it's kind of like when you work with your clients, you are trained in multiple modalities and frameworks and techniques and things. And as the client's with you, in your mind, you're drawing upon what they need in that moment, right? It's the same with how I work with my clients. If they're saying to me, I need the thing, I can give them the thing. But also, if they're saying, I need the thing, and I gave them something similar 2 weeks ago and 2 weeks prior, then I know there's something else going on and I can tap into that. You know what I mean? They'll still get the thing, don't worry, but I have enough experience under my belt to be able to say, okay, something's not right here. Is there, what are we missing here? And let's clean it up, clear it out, get it sorted so she can break this pattern and, make her journey smoother. So that's, in a nutshell, what I think the responsibilities are of somebody who's helping you with your private practice. So, it's very important, I think, now to go and get support for your business from the right person or people, and only you will know who that is. And don't let a business coach try and sell you on something. Before you go and meet with them, if you're going to go and book a call with somebody, find out what they do first. Find out whether or not what they're offering is actually going to work for you, or if it's something that you're looking for, if it's in your budget, all of those kinds of things. Don't just book discovery calls with people and you'll get overwhelmed. It's always going to be better to familiarize yourself with that person first, which brings me back to what we were talking about a moment ago about, if you're not seeing results straight away, it's not necessarily evidence that the thing isn't working. Anywho, I hope that this was really helpful. Practice Momentum doesn't open again until March, but of course you can apply whenever you like. If that's something that's on your mind now, or if it's on your mind over, the next few weeks or something, you can absolutely go and apply whenever you like. You can withdraw your application too, like that's not a problem. And yeah, the process is that you fill out an application form. From that form, you will be notified within a day or two. I try and do it within 24 hours, but a day or two, about the progress of your application. And usually the progress of the application is going to be proceed to interview, or it will be offering you something else that might work better based on the responses that you put in your application. So either way, there's movement happening, which is really good. If you do come to interview, then you'll be interviewed to see whether or not this program is likely to be able to help you, support you, get you the results that you want, based on not only your answers, but also things like attitude, personality, or characteristics. Have you got a history of completing things in the past or not? Like where are you at now, kind of thing. And then from there, you will then be notified again within a day or two about the progress of your application. In this case, it's the interview stage. And if you've been accepted or not, or if we need more information. So if you're accepted, you will pay a deposit and then you can start when the next cohort starts. If you're not accepted, that's okay. You'll be provided with resources and recommendations to help get you prepared so that you can reapply next time around. And then if it's more information, you'll be contacted with an information request. And then we'll make a decision from there. So that's how it goes. That's the process. So no, I don't sell to anybody. If you have a call with me, I am not going to sell. I don't like selling. Don't sell I should have to. Don't want to. If you want help and you've gone to the trouble of applying, I'm assuming you know what it is that you're applying for, and you know the things that are involved, and you're ready to take the next step. So yeah, that's that. So I hope it was helpful for you to hear about some of the themes and patterns that are emerging from people who tend to get better results. And, I just drew a lot of this from Practice Momentum, but in the podcast episode today, I've also drawn from, business coaching clients that are outside of that. But I'd be interested to see, like in another 12 months' time, if the data's different and what's shifted. So yeah, very interesting. If you want, you can also go and do the assessment. It's a free assessment, and that will show you where you're at in terms of how you see your role in your business. You might think, oh yeah, I know that I own my business and da-da-da-da-da. But it's also very interesting to do the assessment because it's based on not only therapy, employee, and business owner mindset, but also the interconnectedness between how each of those mindsets might be showing up in different parts of your business and how it's affecting your capacity and how it's affecting your results. You get a personalized PDF report that speaks to your results based on the responses that you put in, including recommendations for what to do next to help you shift the business along a little bit. And this assessment takes about 3 minutes to do. It's free of charge. No, it doesn't cost you anything financially. I think just your email address. And you can use that then to inform your business plan moving forward. But if you're interested in momentum, bring it along to your interview, or upload it with your application if you like, and we can absolutely draw upon that as well and use that to help support you in the business. So yeah, you've got that as well. So I hope these things are really, really helpful. It's always interesting, isn't it, to hear about what's going on with other people's businesses. I have a secret, I don't even know what you'd call it, but I really love to, when I do go and do the shopping, I love to see what's in other people's trolleys or hand baskets. I do. I think it's fascinating. And I think it's kind of like this same thing, isn't it? When we're hearing about, well, how are the successful people being successful? No one talks about it. So I just felt I wanted to. I hope it helped you. I hope it was educational and informative. Thank you so much for being part of my world, and have a wonderful weekend. Bye for now. And that's a wrap for this episode of the Private Practice Podcast. So as you reflect on today's insights, imagine creating real success in your private practice without going down rabbit holes or exhausting yourself with business activities that don't move the needle. With Practice Momentum, you have push of a button help available on demand. It's like having an expert in your pocket ready to guide you whenever you need it. Visit brooklynstorme.com to discover how Practice Momentum can transform your approach to building a thriving practice. I'm Dr. Brooklyn Storme, and I'll see you next time as we continue exploring the mind, business, and spirit of private practice success.